Yeehaw! Howdy, everybody. Good to see you this afternoon. Real excited to have our special guest with us today, Mr. Clark Jackson, extraordinaire, Esquire, producer, director, amazing creative. Um, his credits are long, and the list is difficult to remember, so I can't tell it all. But Clark has worked with famous folks from I don't know Michael Jackson to all the way down to Lana Del Rey was one of those latest videos I saw, but has a wide range of experience in the music industry doing videos and films, plus um, an extensive background in multimedia graphics and advertising and marketing as well. And so a real vast knowledge of creative marketing and advertising and just creativity in general. So it's good to have him with us today and talk
Hello,
about
everyone.
creativity and all of that. So, Clark, maybe you might want to do a little better introduction than I did for yourself. Anything you want to add?
Uh, I have made hundreds of music videos, from everyone from Eminem to the Red Hot Chili Peppers to recently people as much as Ava Max and Monsta X. Like, I'm sure some of you know who those people are, and some of you are more going to be excited about. I did stuff all the way back in the old days with BB King and everybody. I've been in the room hundreds of times when videos have been made, and it's been fun. I also do a bunch of commercial work. Just right before the quarantine, I finished. I got kicked out of New York and got sent on a plane on the 12th of March doing it because I was there doing a Maybelline commercial. Um, I don't like doing commercials because that to me is commerce, and videos are more kind of cool and like we're actually creating something and creating art. But I think part of the life of someone who wants to do art and wants to create is having to find that balance. So I spend a lot of time doing commercials that pay the bills just so that I have the chance to run off. Hopefully, I just wrote a concept for Weezer, so hopefully I get to go do a Weezer video, but those don't pay the bills like commercials do. So part of an artist's life might be kind of trying to find that balance. I've also done a couple movies, worked on a couple TV shows, tried to, if it's anywhere where art, design, and the motion picture comes together, I've tried it at some point in my career.
Well, I think what you said is a really good start for us, which is finding that balance between art, personal expression, creativity, but then also, keeping the lights on, paying the bills. And how have you struck that balance between exploring your creative side, but then also finding clients and customers?
I, I think the idea of balance is kind of a bad concept. I think it makes everyone always feel like they're not doing enough because things never are balanced. Like, it's always a struggle to come up with a way to do the things that I want to create and do the things that I need to so that I can keep the lights on. And I have some expensive habits, so I have to do a lot of things to keep the lights on. You know, I like fast cars, I like travel, I like all the things that cost money. So I'm always trying to come up with a new way to figure out how to make money so that I can just do more art. And I would say that the biggest thing for me is a friend of mine who's also a big time director, actually much bigger than me. Um, uh, he did a couple of the Spider-Man movies, uh, and I used to produce for him. He told me, "Look, no matter what you do, you can always focus on the imbalance of it, of how crappy it is." Like, he was doing $100 million movie in Spider-Man, but was miserable because it was so hard and no one would listen to him. And even though he was the director, the producers and what, not network, what's the film company were all saying, no, but we know better. Listen, just do your thing, but we know better. And so he was even having the problem with balance. And he told me, look, if I get down every time it's hard or things are out of balance, I would always be down because it's always going to be out of balance. Accept that it's not in balance and enjoy it. Like, enjoy the fact that you just worked 48 hours straight to create this piece of art. Enjoy the fact that you're working for the next 2 weeks, making enough money so that you can come back and create your art. And ever since he kind of told me that, I've not tried to be balanced anymore. I quit doing yoga, quit exercising as much, quit trying to be nice to people, and I was just like, I'm going to accept that an artist's life is to live out of balance.
That's an interesting sentiment. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially when thinking about, you might assume that the grass is greener on the other side, and when you have a big budget or you have a big client, things are suddenly going to be awesome. But actually, it just kind of compounds the fingers in the pie, and the more difficult it can be. But actually, maybe on the smaller projects with a smaller budget, you have more freedom, and that's where you can be more expressive. So, it's an interesting way to look at it.
Nothing will be as satisfying as sitting in your room creating something on your own for yourself. As soon as you create for other people, it's always about trying to listen to them and trying to make them happy with what you're creating for them. And that's something that's actually the hardest part of, I think, what I do and what and I would also like to point out, I have a post company as well where we do graphic design, post production, a lot of the actual design type work, not just the filming. So in that world where you have all the options are on the table when you have a blank sheet of paper, and no matter what you do, your client will never understand how brilliant what you just made is. They'll always be like, oh, that's nice. Or, yeah, you think we can just, I don't know. Like, it will never be, wow, that's amazing. You know that feeling you get when you create one small little design and you're like, oh, I really like that. And it just speaks to you. It will never speak to your clients the same way that it speaks to you. And it's something you have to know ahead of time and kind of be just okay with.
Well, how do you develop that confidence to be able to go, okay, they just crushed my dreams. What do I do?
It's not confidence.
Okay.
It's a letting go of that. See, there's a thing that's art and there's a thing that is commerce. And in my world, I call art and design. Art is creating something for emotion. And that's where you get that feeling of, oh, wow, that was amazing. But design is creating for clarity. And sometimes you're creating something that really speaks to you, but your client isn't looking at it and going, that doesn't clarify what we need. And so they probably know better. I have to remind myself hundreds of times a week when I'm having conversations with clients about, no, this is better. A lot of times they know because I'm creating it for them. They know better what they need, and they know better how it needs to be clarified for them.
So, in that way, design really is communication. And if you're not communicating the right thing and it's not clear, then it's pointless, or it's, it needs to be modified.
Yeah. Like and if you get great design and you design something really cool and amazing, there is a clarity. And when that clarity happens, sometimes people can get the emotional reaction. But that's not the goal with design. The design is clarity. And by clarity, I mean, let's look at chairs. If you've ever seen iconic Herman Miller Eames, I don't know how you say it right, lounge chair is this iconic chair that was made in the late 60s, or maybe even late 50s. But that chair, when you see it, every single one of you will look at it and go, I know that chair. And that chair is awesome. And the reason it feels awesome is because it was designed with one thing in mind. Uh, right there, not there, go to the lounge chair, the black lounge chair, right there on the left. That chair has been used in movies for more superheroes, more villains, this is the chair that the successful executive wants to sit in. And it's because it was designed with a single purpose. The clarity of this chair was Herman Miller wanted to create a chair that extolled the virtues of a successful man. Now, in our world, a successful person, but when they made it, he was trying to make a chair for the successful man. And this chair, like, you'll start to see it. Now that I've pointed this chair out, you're going to start seeing it in movie after movie. You're going to see whenever a female wants to become manly, she'll sit in this chair. Why? Because this chair embodies the way it was designed, the overstuffed, the luxury of it, but plus the cool design. Everything about it was selling the idea of success and style and futurism. And even now, if you look through music videos, through advertising, you'll see this chair all the time. And for me, that's a clarity of design. I mean, Apple had clarity of design for a long time, and I think they've lost their way in a lot of recently. But when you look at some of their great design, it wasn't cool because it was simple. It wasn't cool because it was minimalist. It was cool because you could look at it and you could pick it up, and within seconds, you knew exactly what the design was meant to be. And that, to me, is about clarity of design. And I'm using products right now because it's so much harder for us when you start looking at motion graphics or in graphics or in design work. It's so much harder to have that clarity of why this design conveys the message.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a subjective thing where maybe it's a taste or something like that as well. I can see that can be subjective and up to your opinion, I guess I could say. Do you have any other examples of that clarity of design? You showed me a block the other day.
Oh, crap. Let me show you. I was going to pull my wallet here. Darn it. All right. I didn't. Okay. So here is a block of wood that got sent to me. And this is about clarity of design. This is, if you look close, you can see, can you even see the mark in it? It says American Express. So American Express started sending out credit cards, but they don't send it with the green card. But if you get like a corporate card, they started sending them in this packaging, which is the card would go here in this little inlay on this wooden thing. There's a little thing to pull it out. And then on this side, there's just a simple little notch. And it becomes a iPhone holder. Now, to me, why this design is amazing is because this is a premium product they sent us. They sent the actual card itself is made out of either some sort of metal. They say it's platinum, but I don't know. I think it's probably aluminum or something. But they send this. And the thing about it that's cool is they've made a clear statement about what Amex is. It's high end, but it's also it's not plastic. It's not something that's been formed, it's something that's been handmade. This took them 10 seconds to make and was probably easier to make than actual vacuum forming. But this design element, and then to give it an additional purpose, kind of talks about their ethos as a company. Like, we're high end. We also worry about the environment. We also just are thinking about you. And to me, this little block of wood is an ideal piece of design. You know, it's something that was a clarity of thought came to this. This thing clarified the thoughts and ideas of Amex to their customers without them having to say a single word. And to me,
Yeah.
that
Well,
is amazing design.
see, as a printer myself, and as somebody who works on that with our students, that makes a lot of sense to me, especially when you want to stand out in today's world, whether promoting yourself or promoting your business, using tangible objects, printed objects even, and in that case, an etched object
Yeah.
is different. It stands out. We're used to all this digital material bombarding us, but when we get something tangible that we can put on our desk that looks cool, or hang on our wall that looks awesome, that's different, and that stands out. And so I understand that as a promotional tool for sure.
And the one thing that they did is they created an object that created a relationship with me, because I use this block now all the time. It's right next to my computer, and every time I look at it, I remember Amex subconsciously, and that's, you can't ask for anything better from an advertising point of view.
It's just like putting the Apple logo on the front of the computer. You never can't miss it. It's always at front of your mind.
Yep, always up the left-hand corner, always on the back side of it.
And that's literally branding, right? Yeah. Branding as in, burnishing a symbol into the side of an object.
Exactly.
So let me change gears just a little. When it comes to working with graphic designers or designers, are there any things that you would look for in a portfolio, or maybe even on the flip side, mistakes that a young designer might be making that if you could give them some advice, you would?
So I'm going to tailor more to motion design, because I see for every real design portfolio I see hundreds of motion design. Keep it short. No matter how brilliant you think something is, if it's on the screen for more than half a second, you've probably left it on too long. Especially, and of course, there's always the exceptions to the rule. If you have some dynamic, amazing thing that over the space of 2-3 seconds changes drastically, sure, keep it up. But the thing is, every designer or every person evaluating a design portfolio has seen thousands of them. And when we're looking for someone, we're looking quickly. We're like, I need to fill something tomorrow. In today's freelance world, I'm evaluating people today to get them tomorrow, because the project didn't exist until 5 minutes ago. Like, literally, I can't overstate that enough. Like, get as much amazing stuff of your work in the first 10 seconds. I can't tell you how many times people will put their logo. Hi, I'm a animator, or I'm a this, and that logo takes 10 seconds. You've already lost the interviewer. If you can get it up and going and get information about what your skills are in the first 10 seconds, you have a much higher chance of us putting you in the let's look at more in a couple minutes pile. Because what will happen is people will scroll through 10 or 15 different, like an assistant will pull up, okay, here's 20 people who are available. We'll look through it the first 10 seconds really quickly and put that to the side, get rid of people who we can tell in that 10 seconds are not going to be good. and then we'll come back and look through the reel quickly. People 30 seconds max. I get reels all the time that are 5 minutes long. No one's going to watch it. Even if you were the best, like, and I'm talking about people who just did the last a Marvel movie, have amazing reels. I'm not talking about even young and new coming out. I'm talking about people with amazing work. Their reels are fast and they're quick. They show a bunch of work. If you're doing something inside, like a studio where a bunch of people might have worked on the frame, quick title down on the left-hand side or right-hand side, somewhere that shows what you did. Oh, lead animator. Oh, lighting lighter. Or, I did all of this. Put that on there for them to know, so that they know that you're, because what happens is a lot of times there will be reels that come around where I've seen reels where I'm like, wait, I did that shot. And someone else has that reel, and it's because, oh, well, yeah, they made this small element in the, they made, or they did the original 3D element that, but no, there were 30 people that worked on this shot, and they're on this reel making it look like they did the whole thing. So be transparent about the actual work that you did.
That sounds like a scary one. Right?
It happens all the time, though, because so many people work now on big movies, on big projects. You can have 40 people work on a single shot all the time. Like, we're now working in this world where, like, later today, I'm going to be working on an edit where me and the editor are actually editing the same project at the same time. He's actually in Florida. Like, so we're both now have worked on this edit. So it's something to really think about and be aware of. Like, you're not going to make people think you're better than you are by using footage that's kind of yours. Always make sure that you really demonstrate what your work is. The other thing I would say is be very clear what it is that you do. And if you are an animator, but you do just sell animation, make sure that that's clearly, like, defined as you're on the outside of your reel, in the email, in the however it's presented. Because a lot of times people will go, oh, well, I'm an illustrator, or I'm a this or a that, but they only kind of do, like, what we're looking for. So just make sure that you put exactly what your skills are. And the other thing that I would say is a hack to make yourself look better, especially as you're building your reel. Find footage of famous people and create stuff, especially in the still world or in the video world. Create stuff around them, but create it in, like, there are studio stills of all sorts of actors. Find a way to incorporate them into a design in a way that's at a level that's high enough to demonstrate your ability, because all of us have this wanting to belong thing. We're a pack, or humans are pack animals. So if you see something that's with a famous person, your work will look better. If it's with a famous brand, your work will look better. There is something about creating sample work around famous people that I suggest to all of my junior artists that is very helpful. Now, don't try to take something out of a Star Wars movie and create something on top of it, because that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is find one of my animators actually found a bunch of footage of stars, and they're just turning their head and looking at the camera. And it was for a commercial, but it's just them looking at the camera. and they created this cool animation design thing that they built around it. And they got rid of the audio, they put it in, and they created a whole different thing around it. They're not trying to make it look like they did a Star Wars movie or a thing. They're just using a famous person's face as part of the sample of their work. And it's something that no one really talks about, but it's something I have found very helpful.
It's like a subliminal endorsement
Yeah.
of your work, right?
Yeah.
I think I think a lot of our students might relate to that, because in some of our Photoshop classes, that's something that I know Professor Sue does a lot, where they'll do photo montages and they'll try to kind of like Forrest Gump style put themselves in
Yes.
in famous settings.
Yeah. I recently tried to sell a TV show with one of the Iron Chefs. Her name's Kat Cora, and the idea was they were going to try to do Kat Cora meets Curb Your Enthusiasm. So it was kind of skit comedy, funny, but revolving around food. And we wanted to put her in a scene with some famous people. So we actually put her in a scene with Ben Stiller, where it's actually from a movie trailer, and we recreated the dialogue. We did basically what you do in Photoshop, but we did it all on the motion side, just to get the idea of, oh, this person can be funny with people. And people loved the idea. People went nuts about it. And we went and pitched it at Netflix. We went to Apple TV. We went to all these places. In the end, as what happens with most TV show pitches, they decided it would cost too much money to do the idea that we wanted. So it never happened. But Kat, the person I was doing it with, actually booked a show for ABC, because they were like, partly because they looked at it and went, wow, you're really funny when you're able to let loose. We really were looking for that. So
you never know what it's.
We got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars because of what I'm telling you to do right now.
Well, speaking of pitching and that process, especially when it comes to trying to get work, or pitch new projects, like you said, a lot of them don't go anywhere, and that in and of itself is a difficult process. Is being able to put all that work into something and to have it not turn out. I have a couple of your pitches. Is there one I could show that you could maybe explain?
I don't know.
How you build a pitch or a mock-up? Or
I was like 12 drinks of Diet Dr. Pepper in last night when I sent the two, so I can't remember which.
Well, there's a.
Sent.
Let me pull up my screen and then you can decide.
Yeah, I think I sent. What I sent were a bunch of pitches of some people you will know and some you won't. Let's go to the Selena ones. So this is a pitch I made for Selena Gomez and Kid Cudi. I don't know if the song has been released yet. I didn't get the job. It's the only reason I can even share it with you, because as soon as these pitches are considered like gold in the industry, and no one is allowed to share them. So basically, pitches used to be a couple paragraphs long, and they were just writing, and they were like, it's going to be like this. It's going to be, we're going to do something like this. And you would explain it in words. But about 8 years ago, people started adding more and more pictures, and pictures became the element, like, the picture's worth 1,000 words type concept. So in this concept, we basically wanted to create this other world where she was going to be alone and the whole world was going to be empty. And then she would push a button. Like there was basically if you go back a couple frames, go back to like frame 3 or so of it, right there, the break glass. So the idea was going to be that behind this break glass thing, there would be a couple of buttons, and then every time you would hit a button, it would reset the world. At one point, she would reset the world, and there would be no one there. Another point, she would reset the world, and gravity didn't work. And it was just kind of a fun, cool design, kind of a fun, cool place for us to have her have like a really powerful and beautiful performance. and there's a bunch of links in there that go off to other videos. But this is your basic pitch these days, and it's the same basic idea when you do pitch an idea for a music video as when you pitch a commercial. The same idea, just with more pages, is kind of the way TV shows are being pitched these days. It used to be you would pitch a TV show with a script, a script for the first episode plus a bunch of episodes. But now, mostly people are telling their ideas through pictures and a little bit of words, a little bit of description. They're really trying to tell the idea through the picture, so you kind of feel like you've seen it.
It's like a, I don't know, it's like a picture storyboard kind of.
Yeah, it's a very, very top level, and that picture there is one that I repurposed, that I actually made. That's in one of the Lana Del Rey videos. And if you look at the girl, just a little bit of tidbit. If you look at the girl's hair that's floating, we actually just put her in a dark space, and we had hundreds of pieces of fishing line, because you don't always need to do it in post. So we had hundreds of pieces of fishing line, and we just tied up little pieces of hair and stuff, and had her stand still, and we made it look like she was floating in space. Anyway, this is, and this was kind of that pitch. And let's go to maybe Carson. What's the other one? Let's go to the Florida Georgia line. Like I said, I do videos all around the world for all sorts of different people. Florida Georgia line is not my kind of music, but it gave me a chance to write an idea that I've really wanted to do, which was trying to escape from New York when you're only 2 inches tall. And trying to tell that story. So every element that I have is trying to convey to them like the perspective of someone who's two inches tall. In the end, I think they decided that they wanted to stand in a field with hot girls dancing around them, shaking their booty, because that's the way most music videos go these days. You come up with a really great idea, and they're like, well, I think my fans just want to see me with some hot girls. And you go, all right, go for it. But that
Customer's always right?
Customer's always right. But this is these are some basic just pitches, basically. We call them decks. And people will always ask you, oh, send over a deck. Can you create a deck for that? Or can you pitch that for me? Here's the thing. For every job that I get, I make between 15 and 25 of those decks. Each deck takes between 5 hours and 2 days. So this goes back to the life of trying to create art and have someone else pay for it is always extremely hard.
Well, I mean, that's, what do they say about the effort that goes into self-promotion and then marketing and pitching? And a lot of us have this mistaken idea that, I can just sit back and the jobs are going to roll in. My business is just going to grow independently, exponentially.
The jobs will never roll in unless you are not being paid what you're worth. The only way to get jobs to roll in is to go become a typesetter at a newspaper, or there's tons of, if you go on Indeed.com, there's tons of people that we'll pay you $12 an hour, we'll pay you $15 an hour, we'll do this, and you'll have all the work in the world. Those jobs exist because you're not being paid what you're worth. And if you're trying to find work that's cool, that's interesting, that's satisfying, it will always be hard to find it and always be a struggle to get it. And there are a couple strategies. For me, my saying has always been, I have to be willing to do what no one else is. And by that, I don't mean I'm going to murder people so that I can create this next video. I
Well,
mean,
Baskin.
I mean that exactly. Like, I'm not going to Tiger King it, but the reality is, I need to, if I get a job or when I pitch a job, most people will put 2 hours in on the pitch, and I put between 5 and 2 days in on it. And most people won't, on a small project, try to get famous people involved. I'll go to the mat trying to get people involved. Most people on a project won't do hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of post work for next to nothing just because they can get the whole rest of the project. And those are things that in my world I've defined that I'm going to do this that no one else will do so that I have a better chance of getting the jobs. There is this thought that lots of artists and designers and photographers and directors have that if I'm just really, really good, it's going to happen. No one I know. And I produce for Francis Lawrence. I produce for Mark Webb. I produce for lots and lots of TV directors. All of them got to where they're going because A, they did good work, but because they figured out how to get the work. And that more than anything is the hard part and is the thing that you have to be really, really aware of in this world is you have to go out and find the work and come up with ways to create the work.
You have to hustle. It's just,
you have to hustle.
There's no.
But you have to learn. You have to learn how to hustle where you're not standing on the street corner with your trench coat going, I'll make pictures for you. Like, that doesn't work either. You have to find a way to get to the people who are going to need what you do. Mm-hmm. And it's very different for every person. So I don't have a lot of advice other than to say, I literally went for the first 5 years that I was in LA, working at what I'm doing. I went, if there was a project, if I wasn't paid, if there was a project and I was going to get yelled at, if there was a project, no matter what it was, I was like, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go create it so that I can find where the people are that need what I do.
And some people give up and don't stick it out.
I give up at least 5 times a day.
I used to tell people that I fire myself. Maybe
exactly.
That's part of it. Well, along with that, what is it that keeps you going? What is it that gets you back in the game after firing yourself today?
Well, I fired myself today because we're stuck inside the house. I'm tired of looking at the same 4 walls. And I was just like, it has to be easier somewhere. But the thing that got me going is one of these people that I was talking about that you need to get hold of and try and find called me and was like, hey, remember that project that we did 6 months ago? We're thinking we want to do another version of that. So now the possibilities, the ability to create, the process to me is so fulfilling. Of the creation process itself is really the only thing that's fulfilling in filmmaking and in design. Like, there are no pats on the back when you get it done. There is no one going, great job, we love what you just did. It doesn't happen. Like, even at the Academy Awards, when you look out at that sea of people, as you're pulling up your Oscar, all of them are like, I hate you. You know, like, there is no pat on the back for artistic endeavor. As soon as you draw a single line on there and you open it up for everyone else to look at, everyone's going to go, why is the line so long? Why is it so short? I don't know. It should have been a curlier line. It should have been a straighter. It's always going to happen no matter what you create. So
Everybody's a critic.
everyone's a critic, whether they're informed or not. And the informed ones are worse than the uninformed ones because uh, they they know. But if for me, what keeps bringing me back every time I get depressed, every time I'm down to my last dollar, which happens constantly, um, it's that moment of creation where that process of just molding something, creating it, taking it through the steps, putting it in front of the camera, creating it, taking it into post, molding it, adding a different world, creating moons. One of the videos I sent over to you guys was the Monster X video that we just did. Um, for no reason at all, we added a bunch of moons in the background. It just because it felt cool. The other thing you won't see is there's all these guys standing on a dock in the ocean. Is behind them there are giant cargo ships. There are kids running around. At one point, there were some fishermen who refused to move. I had to painstakingly hand paint all of those people out. There's hundreds of hours of work done on that video that no one will ever notice. But the moment where we put the moon in and it just started to feel cool, there's this moment of creation that it speaks to me, and it's really the reason I keep coming back. That and all the yummy food that I get on set.
Well, I really relate to that because, if you're looking for, adulation or that pat on the back, and that's your source of satisfaction, you're always going to be disappointed. You really have to find, the excitement in the process.
Yeah.
It's the process where you really explore who you are and what you can do. And you said design is clarity. I think it's also problem solving. And to me, there's just this endorphin rush of, oh, I solved that problem. I
Yeah.
solved it, and it worked.
Yeah.
And that's a aha moment that I live for. I love that. That
And
makes
and anyone could have figured that problem out, but they didn't. I did. And there's something about that that's really fun and amazing.
mhm.
Um, and I like it. So I just keep doing it.
That's good. Well, I think this has been a really enjoyable conversation for me, and I wonder if our students have some questions too. So
Oh yeah, I would
um,
love questions.
um, let me throw it out there, guys. Anybody want to type in a question for us? Um, think about how this relates to what you're working on, what you're doing. Um, any other last bit of tidbits you have for us, Clark, that we haven't covered?
No, it's all just the depressing day to day of how to run a business. That's the thing is I found a long time ago that if I was going to do creative work for other people where it was their company or their thing, that I was never going to be paid that much money. But if I created my own company that it and I took on a lot of things, going back to I'll do things that everyone else doesn't want to. Like I created companies that created more risk, that has employees, that have all these people involved, um, just so that I can create an infrastructure to handle the parts of creation that no one wants to deal with, the payroll, the paperwork, the law stuff. Like right after this, I'm going to get on a call with a lawyer to go through talent releases to make sure that this release is going to cover us. Boring stuff. That by being able to take that on, I'm able to do the creative part of it. And I would say I'm never duly compensated for the creative work I do. But I've created a life where I get other things wrapped around it that pay more, so that I can do the creative work. I think you'll find a lot of designers who are super successful do that. And I've worked with a lot of design studios, Shepherd Ferries, Studio One, I think that's what it's called, Studio something. We did a couple projects together. I worked a lot with this company Syndrome. I've worked with um, Method. I've worked with lots of design-centric companies, and the ones that are most successful are the ones that really find a way to create a business package around their actual creative work. And I would say that as an artist, think about that. Think about ways that you can create, you know, you can create um, for through business.
Good.
Ooh, it looks
Couple
like
questions related to that. Let's start with the first or the last one first. Speaking of that particularly, how how much percentage of your business would you say is kind of the boring business related stuff versus the creative work?
I struggle to make it 50-50.
Okay.
If I let it, the boring business part would turn into 100%. I force because I get so much, and honestly, I would become a rich person very quickly if I was said, I'm just going to do the business part of this. I, I, I find no satisfaction and joy in that part of it. So I struggle to keep it at 50-50. I would say, um, uh, and I would say that from time to time, the thing that's good about the COVID thing going on right now is that because I do lots of different things, I'm able to. I'm used to shifting. So um, over the
Flexibility.
flexibility. So over the last couple of months, I've not done much creative stuff, so that I could do more business stuff while we're stuck here, just so that I had something to do. Like,
So, another technical question. What's some good software programs, things that somebody in motion graphics or just graphic design you recommend they learn?
I always recommend that you learn all the Adobe and learn as much Adobe as you possibly can, because the foundation of what's wrong with a lot of the Adobe products will be what gets you into working on the more specialized stuff that's not Adobe. So if you in After Effects finally just get so tired because all you want to do is make good green screen keys, and you're in there and it's such a chore, eventually it's going to push you out into Nuke or into one of the other programs that's better. But it'll build you a strong foundation. And if you know Adobe, and you can almost every facility in motion design um, has Adobe stations. You know, like that. Almost everybody does After Effects, Photoshop, and I would say just learn as much as you can. Like I I do 3D. I work in Maya and 3D Max. Um, but on any given day, like I have tonight, I'm going to sit down and do a couple tutorials on some advanced stuff in Maya, just because the more you know, the more it's not just learning a technical skill, but once you go down the rabbit hole and you figure out how you can create uh, amazing dust particles, suddenly it becomes something that's in the back of your mind as you're thinking about stuff that you're creating. So now uh, you're going to go, oh, wait, I'm going to add some dust particles here. And it's not that you knew how to learn this program. It's that you learned how to use this little specific skill that's now just kind of in your brain and helping you do whatever you do better.
Well, there's nothing better than learning something because you have to. You know,
Yeah.
if it's um, and I think that's a good place to kind of wrap up is to say that you never really are quite done learning your skill, are you? I mean, this goes on and on and on, right?
It
Is
goes
it?
on forever. You never stop. You can never stop as an artist, as a creative, as a designer. You can never stop going down your rabbit hole. As soon as you do, the creativity in your brain stops, your technical skills drop off drastically. Like every year, Maya comes out with a new release that is so drastically different that it comes with a 6 to 8 hour YouTube thing that goes through all the different changes, just to tell you what the changes are, not even to explain how to do them, just to go, oh, by the way, it can do this now. If you want to spend 40 hours figuring that out, you can. But
Yeah.
the software that we're working with now is going to, in 5 years, like I just opened up a project that I did 5 years ago. I can't even open it up really. I had to go through 5 steps of transforming it just to be able to get it to open, because everything's changed that drastically in that short of time. And it will accelerate and continue forever.
Well, that's what makes this industry exciting, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, we are running out of time, but
Okay.
I do want to just kind of wrap up here, and then when we stop recording, I might even have a chance for a couple offline questions. But
Perfect.
I want to thank you, Clark, for being with us today. This has been a really fun and informative discussion. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I hope you all got something out of it. Not just me talking in the void.